Hello and welcome to Sales TV. I'm Alex, otherwise known as the Bearded Sales Guy. I'm the founder of Sapiro, creator of the Conversation Operating System and co-founder of Alex AI, a social enablement platform by Critical Combo. My passion lies in helping people and organizations build real and meaningful conversations to drive growth and success. And it's great to be back. It's been a while.
It has been ages, actually, since our paths have crossed on one of these shows, isn't it?
It has. But everybody knows you, right, Adam? Do you need to do a short intro?
Hi, I'm Adam Gray. I'm co-founder of DLA Ignite. We're a social media management consultancy. Everybody doesn't like the bad penny. I keep cropping up.
Brilliant. It's great to be alongside you today, sir.
Likewise.
So today is an incredible topic about scaling success. I'm excited to be joined by someone who has not only led teams, but has also helped businesses scale and thrive in a highly competitive industries. Our guest, Sara Eklund, is a seasoned GTM and operations executive, known for her hands-on approach and operational excellence, and her advocacy for diversity in the workplace. So some of the key takeaways we will be talking about today include how to scale teams with strategic excellence, the power of mentoring and developing high-performing talent, and how diversity can drive innovation and long-term success in sales teams. So let's dive into the conversation. Welcome, Sara.
Good morning. Really nice to be here and really excited to chat with you guys.
Brilliant. It's great to have you from the darkness of Helsinki in Finland.
Yes, for sure. I do have my daylight lamp here beside me, so it looks lighter than it actually is.
Brilliant. So let's kick things off. Why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself? Because you've got a great background spanning two interesting industries. How do they come together?
Actually spanning three, if I'm really honest. I'm usually saying that I've had 4 careers so far, and who knows how many there will be in before I'm done, so to say. Now, I started my journey as a politician, a very young politician, that said, and worked in decision making and policy making for especially youth and equality politics, and then moved into renewable energy and technology after that, and that's where I spent about 20 years of the past history and continuing on that journey as well. And my journey in many ways have been about scaling growth, building opportunities, and empowering teams in order to break the boundaries of what's possible. And consequently, always been working very close with sales and with all type of revenue architecture abilities in the companies.
Wow.
So I'm rather speechless, actually.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Please go back to politics. The world needs some decent politicians, doesn't it?
Yeah. Don't get me
It
started.
for sure does, I believe so. But I like to do many things at once, and consequently, I also work with NGOs and with pro bono work in this space while I'm doing business at the same time. So not one thing at a time kind of girl.
Yeah. I'd definitely say you're well-rounded then, Sara. Politics, renewable energy, and now tech. Yeah. So from your perspective, what are the common challenges that companies face when trying to scale? And maybe you could talk to startups, but also you've worked in big corporates. So I'd love to hear your perspective on how companies do that, and how you can help them overcome the obstacles that they might face.
I think scale is important in all stages of companies' life cycle, and usually it comes down to what is your bigger purpose and how you live by that purpose when both finding your market, optimizing your market, and then stepping into that goal that you want to achieve. And all of that sounds maybe easy and good and fine, but as we all know as seasoned leaders, it is a challenge at all stages. And it's a lot about how clear you are on that purpose, how you build your strategy around it, and how you empower your people and your processes and your tools to align with that strategy at every step. And I think the word empower and align are quite important when it comes to staying close to the operational excellence at every step of that way.
Okay, interesting. Now, I don't know if you're going to go dizzy. I'm just going to pop you there in the middle. Is that, there we go. I think you need center stage.
That's nice. Thank you.
Okay, so that's interesting. But what, so if we think about sort of scaling and strategic excellence, you know, coming at this from a best practice perspective, one of the key takeaways that we're talking about today is scaling with strategic excellence. Can you share what operational strategies sales leaders should prioritize when scaling their teams in what is highly competitive environments in some cases?
Absolutely. I would say it comes down to several things. It's very important to have such a team culture and have such a team structure where you can learn from each other and have the sufficient psychological safety in order to also make, how to say, agile changes when things are working well and can be scaled, or things are not working well and needs to be exchanged for another type of activity. So yet again, the purposefulness and the values of how you build that scale is really important at every step. I also would say that being methodological is important in order to actually prepare to take those scaling steps, and consequently turning your best practices into playbooks and turning them into tangible both activities, milestones, OKRs, and KPIs that you follow. That is really a recipe for success. Also, I would always be very mindful of leveraging data both as a way of analyzing what has been going well or not so well backwards looking, but also leveraging predictive tools in order to scenario plan what would be the best steps, not only the first best steps, but actually the 5 next best steps. And then finally, I also say that strategic excellence and operational excellence also comes down to having a diversity in the team, both a diversity of skills, of insights, and of strengths of the individuals, but equally also a diversity of both background and gender and all types of features that sits within teams.
Yeah, now there's a lot there. There's a lot there for, I think, sales leaders to think about. And you know, what we're seeing is that, you know, many sales leaders are under so much pressure to perform. You know, they're often behaving in ways that are very short term and very tactical by nature, just to get the deals closed. And so, how, you know, what advice can you give? What are your thoughts on how to maintain strategic excellence when, you know, in some cases their livelihood is at stake, their job is on the line?
Of course, and I completely both understand and underline the challenge in all of that. And at the same time, I also believe that working both tactically really excellently, as well as also looking forward, it's a recipe for creating business in a good way. Because as we all know, and as you very well know as sales professionals, sales is not about only what you do today. It's also the pipeline and the excellence and the longevity that you create. So I think it goes into the concept of sales in itself. What I usually, if I'm bound to give just one advice, I would say that keeping an eye on the so-called sales equation and focusing on a few key metrics in that in order to tweak both your tactical excellence as well as also your leading indicators, that's definitely something to keep in mind. And if I would go even more specific in the sales equation, what we can see in today's sales motions, we know that multi-threaded sales is something that have a direct impact, not only on the sales velocity in the now, but also impact on how well the deals progress in the future, and how you create customer retention and net retention that is building the baseline for your company. So I think if you choose some of those key metrics and follow them, empower them, coach for them, that's also when you can see longitudinal impact.
Yeah.
If I can just pick up on what Alex said and explore that a little bit, because we get to talk to a lot of different sales leaders, and as Alex said, one universal truth seems to be that everybody's under a lot of pressure at the moment. The sales landscape has changed, and the things they used to do are not working the way they used to work. And in many cases, the concept of a strategic plan for sales, actually that's out of the window because we're worried about making our number this quarter. And do sales leaders not run the risk of saying, okay, my top performing salesperson is Alex. He's a man and he's got a beard. Therefore, I'm looking for lots of men that have beards to be salespeople because that's the model that works in this industry. Now, I'm being silly when I say a man with a beard, but you know what I mean. We're looking for specific skills that are delivering value now. And that's absolutely the opposite of what you're looking for when you're trying to build a diverse team. You need women, you need people of different ethnicities and sexual orientations, because actually not everyone in the world looks like me. And therefore, having a bunch of bearded people with no hair that are selling stuff means that it works well selling to people in my own image, but not necessarily everybody. So how do you maintain that diversity and richness of a sales team when only one specific silo or sliver of that is working today?
Absolutely. I think here it's both possible to lean on what data tells us in terms of the value of diversity, but equally also leaning on the evolution of sales psychology and what we see in the market today. If I first speak a little bit about the statistics, we do know that diverse teams have a higher probability of outperforming on a larger scale. We also know that there is a higher degree of innovation and higher degree of how to say, confidence to bring diverse ideas to the plate and to the table, and consequently coming up with good solutions that then can be created into a methodology and scaled across. And we know that there also is an impact on the how to say, bottom line and the financial final line in the companies. And I can share a lot of statistics both from McKinsey and Boston Consulting Group, Credit Suisse, and many others. Now, that's all good and fine. When one then looks at the teams in themselves and what this means, I also like to kind of broaden the spectrum of what the market is looking like today. Who are the buying personas, and what are these buying personas looking for? And as we know it, the buying personas in the companies have become more diverse. And we have decision makers and role holders that both sit on the sponsoring power, as well as also the final budget and decision-making power. And in order to respond to these personas' needs, creating a strong dialogue, focusing on the value that the solution can create, and also focusing on the relationship that then can bring retention and expansion, that's really where the big buck lie. And I like reading, and I like reading about these topics. And I think The Jolt Effect is a really cool book that touches upon the changing landscape in sales and speaking to this relationship between fear of messing up and fear of missing out. And I think there is something interesting about those two acronyms, because it doesn't only apply to how we want to serve our customers and how we want to create a sense of security and a sense of interest, but it also applies to our teams. We need to be less afraid of messing up in terms of going diverse. We need to feel that there is something to be lost if we don't go diverse, because that's the potential of really expanding the borders.
Yeah.
I absolutely get that and buy into that, and I've seen that, with some of the teams that I have worked with within the client organizations that I engage with. I've seen the more diverse the team, the happier a place it is. as well as being, a high performing place. It becomes
Yeah.
a more entertaining and fun place to be, and that's incredibly powerful. However, I can't help feeling that often sales leaders, it's very binary. Okay, Sara, this is your number. You are making it. Great. You're not making it. Okay, you're in trouble. And as the pressure continues to be dialed up on not just sales leaders but entire sales teams, it does breed sort of short-termist views of things, doesn't it? And how do you maintain that longer term view of you know what's right, you need to have a diverse team for a whole host of reasons. That actually it isn't just what you sell today, it's what you're going to sell tomorrow and next week that matters as well, because you're trying to build something sustainable. However, there isn't going to be a next week if you don't sell something today. And balancing these two things is one of the greatest challenges facing sales departments these days, I think.
No, clearly you're right, and there are a lot of challenges in this, and I think it comes down to how you rhythm the work in the team, and how you also coach your people to rhythm their own work in order to build their excellence. And now I'm not only talking about building pipeline per se, because clearly there's an important business development aspect of any type of sales work, but it also is about coaching to some of the leading actions that will render results. And that might be how you coach for, yet again, creating multi-threaded customer relationships to really be able to build the best types of deals, how you play with your portfolio in order to lay the ground with some landing deals and then working on the bigger expanding deals at the same time. So I think it's also about a much more diverse way of coaching your teams, rather than only coaching by this is the result, just go. I think sales leadership today is becoming very, very hands-on. And I think probably you as expert, you can say that it always has been, but I think we are going to see an even more like relationship-centric sales leadership going forward, because that's also the nature of the customer relationships we need to have.
Yeah, I do think, from my own experience, being a hands-on sales leader was differentiating. Certainly for me and my team within a large organization, as the sales leader, driving the enablement of the team and not leaving that solely to another team to do. But I agree with you. I'm hearing talent development is fundamental in terms of scaling an organization. And for someone as passionate as you about talent development, I can kind of feel it coming through the screen. How do you identify and mentor those high potential leaders within teams?
I think talent development is both coming on to that you are close to the strengths and to the working genius of these individuals, because I also think that there is not one form of talent development that will suffice for everyone. Some need more challenge-based development stream where you are given responsibilities in order to test things out and learn from them while you feel that someone has your back. And for others, it might be about completely breaking thought patterns and breaking free of in confidence in order to take the next types of leaps, and anything in between all of that. And I think that's both a challenge for us leaders, as well as also the opportunity that we detect what is the situational coaching that is needed in order to really unlock the best types of skills. And I think there's today, with all the types of technological tools, there's also a possibility of testing out how you can break some of those boundaries, and how you can work with both learning as well as application in a real-time setting. So I'm quite positive in the face of what lies ahead, and I think a curiosity is what is needed from the leaders in order to really be able to lift the potential of their individuals and their teams. At the same time, what we discussed just before about the pressure and the time constraint and the results that needs to be made. I am also completely mindful that it's if not in conflict, it's definitely challenge in order for how you should have time to do all of these things and place that focus. But it definitely pays off.
Yeah, it reminds me. It reminds me really of the world that Adam and I live in. Right, we advocate social selling as a method. We have been working together on this for several years. Adam, many more years than I. We now have the data to back up this approach that it works. It works in different with different go-to-market sales strategies. Yet many companies that we talk to really struggle to make the full shift from, cohort-based training to operationalizing social selling. Why do you think that is?
I think the simple answer probably is that cohort-based training is a far more simplified way of executing. It's a one-to-many approach, to say it short. And I think the companies haven't yet completely taken the leap towards personalized coaching, personalized training, and personalized performance optimization, not because it's not possible, but because the possibility of having oversight has not yet been created in the companies. I think it's more like a structural problem than a problem of actual willingness in that sense. And hence, as an operations professional, I'm super inspired by the possibilities that are like uncovered in all of this. How can you build an operational fiber in your company that allows you to be personalized, not only towards your customers, but also towards your teams and your individuals alike? And I think the topic around social selling and social branding is a very, very good example here, because as we know it, the person and the individuals representing a company, that's really what brings the interest and brings those customer relationships to par.
So is it oversight? And I'm going to be controversial here, or is it just laziness on behalf of the company? Because what we see, and this is not about social selling, but it is about go-to-market strategies. What we see is organizations looking for shortcuts. Now, when you're selling anything which is complex and strategic and high value, the most important thing is that I have a relationship with you, the buyer. And what we know from our own interaction when we're spending our own money on things is that there's a million providers in the marketplace. They all look the same to me. Why am I going to listen to you? Why am I going to read your brochure, in quotes? Well, I'm going to read your brochure because I know you and like you. Why am I going to believe what your brochure says? Because I like you and trust you. So the key is to unlock relationship and trust between the buyer and the seller. However, what we see is that technology is driving an ever larger wedge between these two things. The idea that I will use AI or automation to farm people. I, as a buyer, do not want to be farmed by you, the seller. What I want is to be engaged and spoken to like a person by you, the seller. Yet businesses have so many instances where this is not even on their radar because they're trying to add that scale. So how do we reconcile these two things? We need to have that hyper-personalized me-to-you relationship, but it's a business. It's got lots of customers. So how do we balance these two things in the real world?
Absolutely. I think what technology and all types of revenue intelligence systems provide today is a possibility of automating a good deal of transactional tasks and a good deal of like in the now analytical tasks as well. And that, of course, gives an extra layer of productivity into the, as you said, the farming. I would maybe refrain from using that term, but I think it's a good one to really like point it out what it is. because in the end, when it comes to using these data analytical tools and transactionally automating tools, that gives a possibility of seeing what the portfolio entails, what is going on, what are the next best actions, what are the risks, what are the potentials, and what is the mix that we need to harness. And ideally, that means that it leaves more space and time for the individual to do the relationship work, to keep on strong and high quality dialogues, do discovery and discuss about how to drive value in the best possible way. And I when people ask me, I say that I'm a highly AI positive executive and individual, because I definitely believe in the extra umph that it creates in order for us to be really human with other humans.
Yeah. I think we've come to time now, Sara. We're going to have to wrap things up. This has been fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
How can our audience learn more about your work and stay connected with you, especially with the work that you're doing around your leadership role and Diamanten, if I've pronounced that correctly, and your work with startups?
Absolutely. No, so as you say, I lead a leadership organization in Finland called Diamanten. The diamond is the translation, and we work especially with female leaders and empowering female leaders both for their career progression, as well as also on a scale looking at how we can create an aggregated diversity in the leadership ranges across society. And I'm quite active on social media about these topics, and also quite active in speaking about these things in media as well as in social media in general. So please connect with me, and I'm happy to continue the dialogue, because we are really keen and interested in this topic, not only in the Nordic context, but really also in the global one. Relating to startups, I have currently the joy of being a co-founder and a fractional COO at a startup, and I'm really excited about this journey. And this is actually the fourth career that I was mentioning in the beginning. And one of the exciting dimensions also with this is not only to build something from the start and the get-go, but also be able to contribute to being one of many, but I hopefully also a growing amount of women in this space, because we still know that the startup space is quite homogeneous in many ways, and there is a lot to be done in order to show that this is a really exciting and possible route for everyone who likes it.
Fantastic. Look, I wish you every success this career and your fourth career. Thank you, Sara. Thank you, Adam.